This year we got a really exciting opportunity to be able to purchase some new instruments to replace or to augment really our fleet, if you will, of Cordoba laminates. I love my Cordoba laminates. I bought them 8 years ago and they still look new and sound great. Some of the bridges are starting to release just a little bit because of the dryness in the air. And fighting humidity in this part of the world, and I'm in the Midwest, is really difficult over the winter. Oftentimes I keep a humidistat going in my room, and oftentimes in my room the humidity over the winter is literally below desert humidity. If you hear some background noise, that's because I have 2 whole house humidifiers running full time in my room. And even keeping those filled and running all day, best I can generally get is about 25% humidity, which is better than the 10% that I have without it, but still not really quite enough to make things comfortable for me. What made things a little interesting this year for our new instruments that we replaced or again augmented our previous fleet, these are mainland ukuleles. I highly recommend them. They're amazing instruments. They are all solid wood mahogany. Now, there's advantages to laminates, especially in the classroom. They tend to be more durable and not prone to the thing that I have encountered this year. And I also have this problem with my solid top guitars, is that as things get dry, the wood dries out, they crack. Now, those of you who are orchestra people, you guys are familiar with this issue already because you deal with that in your wooden violins, violas, cellos, etc. I looked into the dampit things, which are the common things used, the common little sponge things that you can clip on the strings and let it dangle inside the guitar or the ukulele or the violin, etc. And the problem is they run at least $12 per. And I have at least 30 ukuleles that absolutely need them and 32 guitars that really should have them as well. That adds up to a lot of money. And then I came up with this solution. This right here is a test tube that has what are called water beads in them. I think one of the common brand names is Orbeez, though that is not what I use. It's something one of my kids told me about. But basically I had the idea, these things are used oftentimes in guitar humidors, cigar humidors, and in some guitar humidifiers, and I thought, well, I think I could probably make one of those fairly easily. So I ordered a bunch of these off these plastic test tubes with the cap on them off of Amazon, one of these, a bunch of these beads, and then had some fishing line laying around, drilled holes in the side, and when I tested this with a humidistat inside of a plastic bag, after I had charged these up, I was able to reach 80-90% humidity within that bag. Now, of course, that's going to be way too much for these, but it's not going to get that high because most of the humidity is going to go out to the room. Okay, so here's what you'll need. On Amazon, I was able to buy these generic water beads. And then I bought 100 of these, which was about the same cost. It's important that they have a screw top on and that they're going to be small enough to actually fit within the hole of the ukulele. So you want to think maybe finger size or so. My science colleagues had a number of test tube holders that they weren't using, so I asked if I could have some and told them they could have them back whenever they wanted, but they said they probably wouldn't need them again. And then a drill. First thing you got to do, you're going to want to put a hole in the top That's where the fishing line, the string, is going to hang from. And then I always like to put one down bottom to aid in draining any extra water. And then I go up every like half inch or so this way, and then stagger them this way. Okay, now I have my tube drilled full of holes. And then take the top off, which again, that's the first thing I did, is put a hole in that. And take some fishing line, run that fishing line through the hole. You want to knot it in such a way that it's not going to slip back through the hole. You might want to put a dab of hot glue or something on the end. And this is just rather thick fishing line that I sometimes use as ukulele string. On the other end then, you want to create a loop. Next step is then you just take a few water beads. And when I say a few, I mean a few. These water beads are very, very small. If you've ever used them before or played with them, this will probably be way too many. And put them at the bottom. Right there. Then put the top on. And now you've got your basic humidifier. Now right here I have a plastic bin that I use for storage, for other things. So I've got a few of these. And so I just filled this up part of the way with water and took that one of those test tube holders, just put it there at the bottom. And then now all I have to do is drop that in at the beginning of class, and by the end of the class, that whole thing will fill up. The holes in the test tube allow the water to come in, and later on, of course, will allow the water to evaporate out. So essentially, for the cost of 2 dampits, I'm able to make 100 humidifiers that will theoretically work just as well, if not better, than the dampits. So is it worth the time? That's up to you. Is it worth the money? Absolutely. So as they say, time is money. You got to make the choice which one works best for you and your program and your own instruments. So there's one idea for you. It helps save cost. Plus, it's kind of fun to, do something like this. That is, if you like playing with power tools and the like. So that's it for me today. Please let me know if you have any questions or any ideas that can beat this. I'd love to hear them. Thanks a lot.